Good morning, guys. Melissa here. I am over at the plasma place getting ready to go in to give plasma this morning. But I'm just making sure I'm really hydrated first. Okay, so what I want to talk about is how does the court system treat women? This is how America is. I've been watching the court system, right? And so I'm no longer going to be fighting for divorce. My husband can have an order of decree. The court can decide on the divorce stuff. So basically, I've participated for about a year now. My husband, on Valentine's Day, to be very spiteful, decided to divorce me. He has his own thoughts that aren't quite right sometimes. Didn't realize it when I married him. And then near the end of the marriage, I saw him thinking the worst of me often. The worst of me, from everything that I was having an affair to this, to that, accusing me all the time of stuff. And he just, I don't know if he's got some kind of mental illness or what, but he just couldn't seem to rise above a lot of stuff. I will always love him. I will always appreciate what he did do, but near the end, I think his porn addiction or something affected him. I don't know. They say when a guy gets into that, his mind just turns to mush. So, whatever. I don't know what his problem is. So he actually chose to stay in his truck. He did not choose to, get a second job to, care. He left his whole family homeless. We had a landlord who wanted top price for the house I found that I went to work to get for him. He left us in a trailer. Even with the roof caving in, he's like, no, I still want you to stay home. I still want you to stay home. And I was still homeschooling, and I'm like, look, buddy, I've worked ever since I was young. 14 in a restaurant, plus I worked before that. I had worked throughout raising kids off and on, plus homeschooling. And then, the roof's caving in, and I had finished up a post-abortive class. And I'm like, no, it's time for me to work full-time now. So that's what I did. I went and worked full-time, and I got us a house. And I was kind of like, I really don't trust this landlord. I really don't think I want to work with him. And he's like, but I really love this house, and it's got a garage, and it's got, we're on a pond or a lake, and, it was one of the first ones I looked at. And we had looked at a duplex, and it was a little bit cheaper, but the guy, I had checked him out, and, didn't want to work with him. So, I'm like, okay, for you, yes, you've worked hard, all these years, although it was a low income job and his work took advantage of him and another guy who had a heart attack there. He didn't want to, I'm the one who motivated him. I'm the one who's like, when we were teenagers, you ought to find a job. He didn't even work. So he went over to Billy's with me. Then I motivated him to go to the old mill, helped him to get his GED. He quit school, helped him to get his ASEs. He didn't want to get them, and then he didn't renew them. And I'm like, why don't you renew them? He didn't want to. So, he had the potential to earn a lot of money, and he didn't want to. So, so the house we were at, and the landlord put the rent up right around COVID by $300 all at once. It was crazy. And then he wanted us to buy, and I'm like, no, we don't want to buy this place. It had mold in it, right? He's like, well, if you don't buy it, I'm putting the rent up again. I'm like, you're not getting another dime from us, Mike. You just put the rent up by $300. You can go screw yourself, basically. And so, we were living in a hotel. My husband didn't know what to do. He didn't care. He pretty much didn't care. He was off doing his own thing. Didn't really care. And then we had made a plan that I would, from Colorado find housing, which I worked at very hard. Couldn't find anything in New Hampshire still. Told him it would take me a little while, probably be, a 2-year mark here because I would have to get, some kind of rent established here. And so he chose to leave. He chose to not communicate and say, hey, I found this place I'm going to stay at. He just chose to leave. So there's nothing I can do about that. But let's, I'm done with him, and let's talk about the court system. So I have the last 2 years worked off and on, and I've done a lot of side hustles. I've done a lot of stuff. So basically, trying to, when you are going through a divorce, you want extra good care of you. So I took a divorce care class here. I took a Stevens ministry. I finished a post-abortive class, and I spent on me. I put everything into me. And that's what you want to do when you're going through a divorce. You want to take care of yourself extra good. I didn't overwork during this time in my life. I had already, finished up homeschooling in the hotel when we got here. I was pretty much done for the most part, and then I took it easy. I gave myself a big break. And so 1, for divorce, to take good care of yourself, and 2, to see how the courts treat a single mom. I had a minor, right? So you think some child support would be coming in? I went through the child enforcement agency here for a whole year, and they said they could not find where my husband worked. So they could not do child support because they couldn't find him. I'm like, what do you mean you can't find him? He's been at the same place for like 18 years. They're like, well, New Hampshire says they can't find him. I'm like, what do you mean? That's a bunch of baloney. I'll tell you exactly where he is, and I did, and they couldn't find him. So this is, if I did not have the resources and the go-getter attitude, you have to have a go-getter attitude. This is where moms are left with no money, with kids. The court did not enforce anything. And this is where the courts need to change. There's no child support. We hear, oh, moms take advantage of the system and they get all this money. No, I didn't see a dime from the state. And then that was my own money that my husband was sending, $120. Those are my marital assets. So then, he doesn't want to send any more money, and that's it. The state doesn't protect a woman. So then in court, I have claimed 0 on my first affidavit and another 0 this time. And guess what? There's still no money coming in. There's still no alimony. And the courts allow this. They allow you to go through the ringer. It's been a year with no money. No money at all. I could be dying out there, being homeless. They have no idea, what's going on with a woman and her children. They have no idea anything about me. And they actually said I had to go through a child impact class, which the director was like, look, I don't have anything from the court. I have one piece of paper. I need another piece. So I never even got, there should be care for the kids. I was very glad to do that for my youngest son, to go through how divorce impacts, him, but it didn't go through. Nothing for the one who left, right? He didn't even have to go through anything to take responsibility. So, this is how the court is. They treat moms like trash. And, even up until now, I only had, two times to talk in court, very small. No one's really asking, why was your husband in the truck? Do you have any proof of domestic abuse? Can you tell us what happened? Nothing for the mothers. So this is America, and this is how the courts treat mothers who have laid down their life for their husbands usually and their kids. So we definitely need to change this. And the reason why I bring this up is because I'm working on my nonprofit, and I have a meeting again this week to talk about things. And I want to bring this into the nonprofit somehow. Somehow we think that mothers only need help when their kids are little. When you go through a divorce and pretty much everything's taken from you, you pretty much lost everything because your husband's a jerk, um, you got to be able to, when someone, even if I had money, even let's say I had a lot of money, he would have tried to take all that, or the court would have, had to decide how it's going to be split up, and there would have been a longer battle if I had stuff. So you definitely want, as a woman, looking back, I'm thinking, what could I have learned from this? I think you're supposed to be married. You're supposed to be one. His money yours, your money his, that type of thing, right? I don't think it would be unwise for a woman to make sure that, money is separated, and that, her husband and, her have talked about what would happen if they had a divorce. A man should want his wife taken care of even if they have a divorce. He should want to make sure his kids are taken care of even if there was a divorce. So, talking about, okay, this is my bank account, and we don't ever plan on having a divorce, and somehow talking about, maybe if there was a divorce, we would have some kind of agreement. I don't want to say prenuptial agreement, because that goes into the marriage with like no trust right off the bat, right? So I do think it's a good idea to definitely think about some things like that. So luckily God worked it out for me, and I'm good. And like I said, I always have side hustles where, money's being given to me, but it's not accounted for. So like I said, I'm making money, with my son giving me stuff, and, he's staying in my truck, and one gives me gas, and, they pitch in for food, etc., etc. So, and I have one son that I borrowed money from, but at a very high interest rate, so I don't take advantage of him. I don't think it's wrong that kids help their parents. I think parents have been there for them, but I think the underlying theme is the parents are the ones to give. So, in my case, with borrowing money from my son, he's getting like more than 50% interest from me. So that's something that I will be taking care of with him. And during the time of divorce, you want to keep it low, and you want to see, okay, so I have zero, and what are the courts doing? And we just definitely see the courts not taking care of mothers.